What's up guys, CodefForge here. Today we will explore let and const variable types introduced in the ECMAScript 6 JavaScript standard. In the first place we will check out the differences between the var and let types, and after that we'll play a little bit with the const type. So the let type is replacement of the var type. Let type has been introduced because it has better error handling, and also it is block scoped instead of function scoped. So let's try to understand why let has better error handling. Let's declare two variables. First one will be the type of var, and it will be called var number. And the second one will be the type of let, and it will be called let text. Now let's try to use those variables, for example, by displaying them to the console. So we say console log, and we want to display the var number. And we want to do the same for the let text. So we change it to let text. And why we are doing this? We are doing this because our variable can not be initialized for some reason, or we can simply forget to do it. In a situation like this, if we save the file, we can see that both of them are behaving correctly, because in both cases we are getting the undefined. And now let's say we want to access this variable before declaring it. So we will move the console log of the var number one level up before the declaration, and we'll do the same for the let variable. And now if we save it, in the case of the var type variable, we are getting the undefined like before, but for the let type variable, we are getting this reference error. Now you can see that using let variable type, it's easier to identify problems with accessing variables before initialization, and we don't have it using var type. And now the question is why the var type variable is behaving like this. And this is because of the hoisting. So when we are running our script and it is being interpreted, all the var types variables are being moved to the top of the context. So they will go over here. Even if they are initialized over here, they will be moved to the top. And it is not happening when we are working with the let type variable. Let's make one more test. So I will get rid of this, and we'll uncomment this, and we'll say we want to initialize this var number with the number 10, and we'll initialize let text variable with the text hello. After saving it, we still get the error for the let, and we get the undefined for the var. And after running the script, situation looks like this. We have this var number over here initialized with the 10, and the declaration goes to the top, and it looks like this. So we can see over here it's declared, but it is not initialized with the number 10. But if we console log it over here again, we can see that we'll get 10. To make it even clearer for you, if we remove that, and we will copy these things over here and paste it here, and we will do something like this. And yeah, we will comment it out. We can see that both of these block of codes looks a little bit different, but after executing this second one, it will become this first one. And we cannot see it, but this is how JavaScript will behave regarding the var type variable. Okay, so we have spent already a couple of minutes for those 5 lines of codes, but it is very important to understand this difference between the var and let type variable. And if it's still not clear for you, we'll move to the another examples of how the var type and the let type variables are behaving in the functions context. So let's comment it out, and I will paste separator to make it a little bit more clear. Okay, let's create a function that will allow us to test the var type variable. So we say function test var number, and inside we want to say if true, so this if statement will execute all the time, and inside we want to declare our var number variable, and we want to initialize it to 10. Over here we want to console log this variable, so we say console.log var number, and at the end we want to call our new function. Okay, let's do the same for the let type variable. So we will copy everything, paste it over here. We will change var number to the let text, and we will go over here. We will change the type from the var to let, and it will be let text. We want to initialize it with the text hello like before, and we want to paste it over here, and also we want to do this. So we have the same situation, same methods for both of the variable types, one for the var and one for the let. So let's check out how it will behave. So we save the file. So we can see that we have a very similar situation like we had over here. So in the case of the var type, we are able to access the var number variable outside of the if statement, and we are even able to display the correct value. And in the case of the let type variable, we are not able to access the let text variable outside of the if statement. And again, this is because the var type variables are function scoped and the let type variables are block scoped. In the case of this test var number method, var number variable is being hoisted to the top of the function. So let's try to visualize it. I will copy this function, we'll paste it, and we will do some adjustments. So we'll remove this and we'll copy it over here, and let's comment it out. Basically, this is what happens if we declare and initialize our var type variable in the if statement. The declaration goes to the top of the function. This is why we're able to access it in the console log. And after that, if the if statement is true, it is being initialized to the 10, and after that we are logging it to the console using the console log. So again, we are facing the hoisting of the variable. Such thing is not happening when we are working with the let type variables like here, so it is harder to make a mistake. Okay guys, so now I hope it is clear for you why we should prefer using the let type variables instead of var type variables. And if it's still not clear for you, don't be sad, rewind the video and try to go through the examples again, and I'm sure you will get it. Okay, so now let's move to the second type of the variables which has been introduced in the ECMAScript 6. So let's comment these things first. First thing regarding the const variable type is that it must be initialized. So let's say we want to create the const variable with the name text and we do not initialize it. So let's save it. And we can see that we are getting the error that we have the missing initializer in const declaration. This is first the difference between the const variable type and the let or var. Let's initialize it. So we say hello. And let's try to console log it. And it works like a normal variable. Next point is that we cannot change the value that is stored in the const variable, so we cannot reinitialize it. If we try something like this, so we'll say text and we'll try to assign new value to the const type variable, for example, hello world, and we'll save it. We'll get an error, and this is pretty much what we want, but there is a little exception. It is working only with the primitive types. Let's comment it out first, and let's say that we want to create a const person object, and this object will have two fields. First will be name with the value John, and the second one will be age, and it will be number, let's say 22. Also, let's add the semicolon. If we try to reassign it right now, so let's say we'll do something like this. So we are creating a new object with the name Will and age 33. We'll get an error again. So let's comment it out first to see that it is coming from here, right? This is also good. This is what we want. But the thing that we can do, we can change the value of the field. So let's say we want to change the person name and we want to set it to the will. And we want to console log our person object. We save it and we can see that we can modify the field of the object. And this is a big problem because we cannot change the reference which stores our variable. We have tried it over here. It was not possible. We got an error, but we are able to change the fields of our object. We are able to modify it, right? And this is not what we are expecting from the const type variable. There is one thing we can do to prevent such behavior, and it is freezing the object. But the problem is that we have to remember about it. To freeze the object, we have to use the freeze method from the object class. So we say object.freeze to access the method. And as the argument, we have to pass our object. So we'll wrap it in the parentheses. And now if we try to save it, we can see that name has been unchanged. So even if we tried to change it over here, set the person name to Will, it stays as John. And everything is good except that we are not getting any error message regarding that we are trying to change the field value of the freezed object. So basically this line of code over here is dead in this situation. Same problems occurs when we are working with the arrays, so let's comment it out. Okay. Basically problem occurs with every reference type we are working with. Let's play a little bit with the arrays. So we want to create a const array which will store grades. And let's say grades will be 3, 4, 5. Let's console log it. If we try to change the reference, so we say grades and we'll change it to the new array, let's say 4, 5, 6, we'll get an error, so that's good. But if we try to access specific index, so we say grades 0, and we'll set it to the, for example, 2, we can see that we are able to change this index, and now the array stores 2, 4, 5. All we can do about that is to freeze our array like we did it with the object. So we say object freeze and we are passing as the argument our array. And if we save it, we can see that it's unchanged. But still we are not getting any errors that we are trying to modify something. Okay guys, this is all for today. I hope you like it. If you do, remember about liking the videos, leaving a comment, and if you want to stay updated with my latest videos, subscribe to my channel. See you next time.